And we are live on this Monday night of LDS playoff. Right now, we're in the NLDS. We got the ALDS coming on at, I think it's 9 o'clock tonight, because it's Milwaukee and
Milwaukee and the Cubs.
yeah, so they come on at 9.
That's 8 o'clock Milwaukee time.
Right. So thank you, Hodges. Dad, remember if you want to see the comments.
Yeah, I see it. I got it.
I
got to point out something about the Milwaukee.
Hey, go ahead. What you got?
Milwaukee's planning. I saw this evening on MLB. Milwaukee's planning on pitching a bullpen game tonight. I mean, they played one game. You don't have a second starter. I mean, I don't. Okay. I mean, they got the best record in baseball. Who am I to judge? But
Right.
I'm just. I don't get that. But that's just me.
Well, Dad, I don't understand it anyway. When you play all year long and you don't do that on a regular basis. You know, every once in a while you'll have a long stretch where you play 8-9 games in a row and you might do it one time. But it's not normal. But all of a sudden you get to a playoffs and you don't have starting pitching. I don't get it. But you know,
they also set a record the other night. They were the first team in the history of the sport to score 9 runs and have 10 hits in the first 2 innings against the Cubs. Now, and I mean, that's the history of the sport.
And they were scattering that ball all over the ballpark. They didn't do nothing after that, but that was okay. I went to bed after that. So, or I was watching something else. I can't remember. Was that the late game or next to the late game? They're playing so much. 4 games the other night.
Yeah, there was 4 games. I mean, one game was running into the next, and I was trying to switch channels.
Right. The football. With so much going on. You know, it's crazy time. I mean, you know.
There's just so much sports on the weekend. This is the greatest time in the world for a sports fan because it's all these playoffs and everything. I got my Washington Capitals hat on tonight because they start next. The National Hockey League starts next week, and the NBA starts.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night, and I think the NBA starts next week and week after. And I mean, it's. I got my Caps hat on because I'm a big Washington Caps fan. But I mean, there was great college games on Saturday, great baseball. I mean, it was just. In the Toronto Blue Jays played Who's Your Daddy on the Yankees for 2 games, so.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that probably Toronto would happen is not playing tonight, right? It probably regret.
Toronto, the way they're hitting, they don't want a day off.
No.
They probably won't score 2 runs in New York. So I mean, but anyway, it's they were crushing that ball, and it amazes me how the fans want to fire the managers and the coaches, even if they make the playoffs. I mean, I realize that the Yankee fans and the Philadelphia Phillies fans have higher expectations for their teams than normal fans do because they're put together so well that you would think, I thought that they would be the ones that probably come out of the playoffs and compete in the World Series. The Yankees aren't out of it yet, and they got 2 games in New York. So until they're out of it, I'm not saying. I will say this. It's going to take a heck of a team to beat Seattle. Seattle's got some – they don't hit a lot, but they got some pitching, son. They have got some pitching. They got good starters. They got 3 good starters, and they've got an excellent bullpen. And the bullpen is the most important part of your game, and that's the weakest part of the Toronto game. The weakest part of the Toronto team is a bullpen. They gave up 5 runs to the Yankees in the 7th inning last night, winning 13-2 or something. They gave up 5 runs in the 7th inning. So their bullpen is questionable, as to say the least. The Dodgers' bullpen is so bad, he put the starters out
there. Yeah, I mean, that was their plan. Once they got to the playoffs, 2 of their starters over the season is going to go out to the bullpen. We kind of knew that was coming.
The other big news this week was all the firings of the managers. All the teams trying to show their fans that that they're trying to make the team better by firing the manager.
Yeah, and I mean it'll be just a carousel of who goes where, like it always is.
Well, Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers, they mutually agreed to leave. I mean, he's probably done.
Right.
There was some thought that he might be reunited with Buster Posey in San Francisco, but I don't. I think he's ready to retire. I mean, see, people they don't realize. A lot of people don't realize the man has 2 hip replacements. He's got
Yeah,
2 arteries.
you can see him when he goes out to the mound.
He goes out to the mound. He looks like a duck. I mean, it's and he's up there. And he got so they mutually agreed to that he would leave the Rangers. Ron Washington was dismissed by the Angels, and of course, his health. He says he's going to be fine. He had quadruple bypass, and then Colorado they didn't fire the manager, but they fired their general manager.
Yeah, Mets just sent out a release this week. They didn't talk about the manager, but they got rid of a healthy portion of their staff.
Yeah, really coaching staff.
Yeah, they kept the first base coach. It was 3 coaches they invited back. The rest of them, it was kind of like I don't know. It was weird how they worded it. Like they got invited back. Now, does that mean because most of the time the head coach, hires his coaching staff. So to me, that was all kind of weird. But
a manager hires his coaching staff. So if you fire all the coaches, I guess you're going back to the manager and say, okay, go out and find some new ones.
yeah, I mean, they can fire your staff, but usually the manager has a hand in who he wants on his coaching staff. I was sitting there reading that the other day when good grief to get rid of everybody. I mean, I really like our pitching coach. They got rid of him, but it is what it is. Now, I just want to preference some of the stuff that I'll be talking about tonight. I'm not trying to because I am a Mets fan, so I don't want to hear, hey, your team didn't even make it and all this stuff. I understand that. I am just talking about the reality of what we got going on right now, the playoffs. And me and Dad talked a little bit before he got on. I always yelling about this, and it just feels like the teams that are putting the bat on the ball more are doing better. It just is proof in the pudding. The teams, it's just these teams that hit a lot of home runs. Yankees hit 50 more than the next team, but congratulations, you can't hit in the postseason. Now that, like you said, they can turn around and win 3 straight and shut me up. But this isn't the first season I've seen this.
Well, I'm not going to say they are because remember they fattened up in September on the Orioles and the White Sox. I mean,
right.
It's they had a great record, but they beat a lot of bad teams, and they were 500 against. They were 500 against teams that had 500 record or better. They were 500, and then the bad teams they just beat up on.
And that's what you got to do. I mean,
that's how you win.
Right. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Is you play 500 ball against the good teams, and you beat the bad teams. That's how you get to where you're at.
Yeah.
That's the consistency of it all. Sometimes it looks better because you play them back to back. Sometimes it looks worse because you play the good teams back to back. But I mean, that's why you play so many games. I've been asked so many times why they play so many baseball games. Well, it's a game of numbers, so you got to have that so the law of averages works out the way it's supposed to. Now they're supposed to be. It sounds like they're going to go to fewer games here in the future. So we'll wait and see on that.
Well, I mean, they can shorten the regular season because they've added games in the playoffs.
Right.
So you're still going to be playing a lot of games. I mean,
right.
Brian Snitker and the Braves, they decided to part company, and he is going to remain as an advisor in an advisory position to the front office. He has spent 49 years with the Braves.
was getting ready to say, ain't he been with that organization for pretty much
He
all
started
life?
out. He came out of high school. He's like a 35th round draft pick out of high school and played with them in the minor leagues for umpteen years. And then um, Hank Aaron, he was going to just quit and go to work somewhere. And Hank Aaron told him to try to manage. And Hank Aaron talked him into managing. And so he got a rookie league team in Florida for the Braves and started managing them and did such a good job. He just worked his way up the scale, but he got stuck because they had
Well,
Bobby.
that's what happens is a lot of minor league managers become career minor league.
Well, I mean, he's a career manager in the minor leagues because Bobby Cox was in Atlanta for about 120 years. So he had to wait his turn, and then when he finally got there, now here to see this to me won't happen because it makes sense. If something I found out a long time ago, if something makes sense, it usually won't happen. Ron Washington was beloved by that team when he was the third base coach and he was the infield coach. He's the one that got them by hitting the ground balls to him every day and making them come out there and practice him hitting those ground balls to him. They were the number one team on defense for years. And they loved him. And then he went to the Angels. If he can manage, why wouldn't you want to bring him back and let him manage in Atlanta?
I don't understand why the Angels let him go. I don't.
They're the Angels, son. Look at
That's true.
I mean, what have they done lately? They haven't done anything since Gene Autry
Well,
died.
they actually were in the middle of the pack this year.
Yeah, but what does that mean? If you're in the middle of the pack, some of the packs are lower than the other packs.
Right. Well, I'm just saying they won't. They didn't get walked over by everybody by the user. They actually did something this year.
I'm just saying that it's just it was just an observation on my part that he.
Right. I agree.
And I mean,
He's going to end up somewhere doing something.
Yeah, the players loved him in Atlanta, so I was just wondering if it would be okay if they've all, from what I understand, they sent out feelers to Chipper Jones. They sent out feelers to Chipper Jones, and Chipper said he would love to be the hitting coach, but he doesn't want to manage yet. He doesn't want to manage.
Right.
There's a lot into managing, and he doesn't want to get into all. And he said he'd love to be the hitting coach. So I mean, I'm just wondering because what they're going to do is these managers get fired and they get recycled.
Well, it's a carousel.
It's like putting a recycling tub on the road every 2 weeks.
So here's my question. I like Chipper. He's one of those guys. If he played, I would love it. I would have even been my favorite player if he played on my team. But my whole thing is like, what makes Chipper Jones a manager over some other guys that have been? You know what I'm saying? It's a job just like any other job. What's his managerial background?
How good is the manager in their AAA system?
Right,
I mean,
or anywhere else.
Managing for years in the minor leagues, give him a shot before you just hand it to one of your ex-players.
Because to be a manager, let's face it, you got to deal with some prima donnas. You got to be a people person. You got to be able to not only know the game, but you got to deal with egos. You have to deal with a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it's not like the golden age of baseball where you can just tell a guy this is what's going to happen. That's not how it works. You got pressures from every direction on who to play, where to play them, and everybody's second guessing you. Media's in your face. So what is
Texas? They hired Skip Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
He was with the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, he's managed a couple of places.
A few years ago, he was the manager of the year in 2023 for the Marlins.
Now, I like I said, I love Chipper, but if Chipper's going to manage, I feel like, I mean, they did this with a lot like Donnie Baseball. He got a job because he was Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly. Now it worked out. He's a good baseball guy. He's done well where he's at, where in places he's been. But, I feel like these guys get handed jobs. And I know, like, I'm sure, when they're on a team, you could see the managerial person in that player. Like I'm sure working with guys, talking to them, oh, he's going to be a great manager, but they don't have the background yet. I just feel like if you want to win and you want somebody to build a team or something, you need to find a manager that fits those qualities. Just picking Chipper Jones because he's Chipper Jones.
Well, they've also looked at Mark. They've also are looking at Mark DeRosa. He managed of course, he does the morning show. One of the morning.
I was going to bring. He proved himself with Team USA.
Yeah, and he did a real good job.
And he knows his stuff.
But
will that translate into a regular season? That's a long season.
Yeah, and now the Angels has the number. It looks like the number one person for the Angels that they want to manage is Albert Pujols.
Luzardo just caught a ball that was rifled right at him. It was a life-saving. I also want to say, too, watching this game on TNT tonight, their background sucks. Because every time these two left-handers throw, the ball gets blurred and lost in whatever promotion they're putting in the background. It sucks. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was saying the Angels, their number one candidate right now is Albert Pujols. So who knows? I mean,
that's the same. Because Piazza did a great job for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic. I think he should be brought up as something. But as a manager, I still question it because what managerial background does he have? I've always questioned that when they just give an ex-player. Because a lot of times, Ted Williams sucked as a manager because he expected everybody to be Ted Williams.
Oh, that's why Willie Mays said he would never manage because he would expect everybody to play like he did.
Right.
And they can't.
Yeah, I mean that's
why the best managers, a lot of the best managers, are players that had to just scrape to get to the majors.
Or backup catchers,
because they know because they know what has to be done. They know what these players are going through.
Right.
They're not one of these superstars that just walked out of like Bryce Harper walked out of a Sports Illustrated magazine and played for the Nationals. I mean,
right.
That doesn't happen with everybody. So most of the players, they have to play in the minor leagues for 2-3 years before they get to the majors, maybe longer. And so you have to understand how all that works so you can handle the people. Right. You have to handle the people. Now, I was in management. I know. I had to handle people in a chemical plant. I just didn't have – they weren't robots. I had to know about them. I had to know how to handle them. I had to know who to fuss with. I had to know who to put my arm around and tell them they were doing a good job. I mean, I had to know.
Right.
So
and I think these players have an idea – because they played, but that doesn't make you a manager, right? That's I guess that's the point I'm getting at because I do believe they know the game. I mean, it wouldn't been played and been, where they're at Hall of Famers or whatever. I think Pujols is probably I've seen him work with batters in batting cages. They have tape of that, so I think he has the elements. But does he hasn't built up the full, I think he should be a batting. Like Will Clark was the roving batting instructor for the Giants for a long time. I think he still helps them out somehow. But Pujols would be great. David Wright's taking on some of those roles with the Mets. It doesn't automatically make you a manager. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I just feel like that's just my personal opinion. It sounds like you have pretty much the same opinion.
Well, I think in any organization, if you look hard enough, you're going to find people who are worthy of being promoted. I don't care what the organization
is. Right.
So that's just my way of looking at it. If you can promote personally with the Orioles situation, and then we'll get back to talking about the games. But in the Orioles situation, I think they ought to give this guy, the guy that finished out the season with them, they played almost 500 ball. That team was lousy, and they played pretty good ball once he took over, especially the last few months. in the last couple of months. So I think maybe give him a year or two, give him a 2-year contract, and see what he does. Because they haven't put the players on the field to win. That's
Right.
on the general manager in the front office. You didn't go out and get pitching when you needed it, so you paid the price for it. That's what happens. Same thing happened to the Mets. They ran out of pitchers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Hey,
I mean, speaking of pitchers, that young kid for the Yankees that pitched against the Red Sox the last night that they played the Red Sox and beat the Red Sox. Pitched 8 innings. Oh, did you watch any of that?
no, I went to
Wow, that
bed.
young man was outstanding.
That's another one of those games where I just don't like the two teams, so it's hard. It's hard for me to watch those
It
games.
was
It
out. It
really
was
is.
just the young man was just outstanding. And then the other night, yesterday, when that youngster pitched for Toronto, they started out in A ball in April, and he started out in A ball and wound up on the major league staff in September, and he pitched 5 and a third innings of no hit ball.
Yeah, that kid for the Yankees though, that's a historical moment. He did stuff that's never been done. I mean, that hopefully he has a great career and all that, but yeah, that was awesome. I mean, and this is the time to shine, and that was another point I wanted to get to tonight. It's just we're starting to see the same people kind of disappear again this year when we got to October. Judge and some of these other guys.
Judge actually has had a few hits. He hadn't had any home runs, but he's had a few hits.
But he hasn't looked great at the plate. And I mean, it's just and he made a bad play in the outfield, Gold Glover. I mean, that's neither here nor there. Everybody has, it's a tough game. So again, I am not trying. I like Judge. Judge is another guy. I wish he played on my team, but he wears the pinstripes, so it's tough for me. But yeah, these guys. What's up? What's up, Sports Card Collection? These guys that are really. I think there's just guys that are built for October. Mad Bone was one of them. Madison Bumgarner. You got guys that just show up. I mean, what Lemke for those years with the Braves, all those. He didn't do anything in the regular season. He was just Lemke. And then all of a sudden, I get to the postseason, and he looks like the next Reggie Jackson that's 5 foot tall. I mean, there's just certain players that just shine.
Well, everybody on Toronto shined for 2 days.
I hope they keep it up. Toronto, it wouldn't be bad to see them go all the way. We haven't seen them. I mean, it's been a long time since we've really seen them move along in the playoffs. So,
Seattle's the only team in the major leagues that's never played in the World Series. They're the only team. Even Colorado got to the World Series.
Right.
But
yeah.
Seattle, that's why I wanted to see Seattle and Milwaukee, And here again, we were talking about it at church yesterday morning. I was talking to a couple of my old buddies, the old Yankee fans, and they were moaning about the Yankees. And I said, well, you should be a Nationals fan if you really want to moan. But, I mean, I told them, I said, the Yankees can't win the World Series every year. They used to when I was coming up. That's why I didn't like the Yankees, because they always won. And I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. But I told them, I said, you can't expect them to do every year. And I said, and everybody hollers, but they were talking about Boone, the manager. I said, all he can do is write out the lineup card and bring in the pitcher that's ready to pitch that day. What happens after that is a little bit out of his hands. Now, some of the decisions he might make during a game, defensive.
I think that's the problem. Is he's made some head scratchers. He's really made head scratchers. But a lot of it too is hindsight.
The Toronto manager came out to get that kid out of the game yesterday after he pitched 5 1/3 innings, and the Toronto fans were booing him because that kid was mowing down the Yankees. And I'm sitting there going, oh, man, let him finish the inning. Come on, let him get 2 more outs in the 6th inning. And then in the next inning, the Yankees scored 5 runs. But I will say this. After the game, he said that's the first game the kid had pitched in a situation like that. And he didn't want him throwing 100 pitches because he didn't want – because there's a lot of stress in that situation. And the kid had never done it before. So it wasn't like Gosman pitching the day before. We'd been there before, been in the playoffs. So, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's why you're the manager. And he said, I know the fans booed me, but this is why they pay me.
Yeah, because he could be the possible starter in game 1 of the championship series. Because if he started game 2, that could possibly. No, he'd be the second. Well, it depends because I remember I just remember when they used to have 3 starters and they would rest 4 days in the playoffs, and you would see those 3 starters over and over again. The Diamondbacks won the World Series like that. Yeah, so it's been way, way back when.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. When the Yankees were winning all those World Series, Whitey Ford would pitch the 1st, the 4th, and the 7th game.
Right.
If it went 7 games, Whitey Ford pitched the 1st, the 4th, and the 7th game, and maybe Bill Terry or somebody else, and they had different pitchers, but you knew Whitey was going to pitch those 3 games. When Koufax was in his heyday, Bob Gibson, Juan Marichal.
Well, Dad, you ain't got to go far back. Maddox.
Yeah, Maddox. They pitched 1st, 4th, and 7th.
I'm sorry. When Arizona won, they had Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson. And then they threw who cares on the 3rd game. And then them 2 pitched again. That was the formula for years. And now they got to have all 5 of them pitching just like it's a regular season. I don't know when this started in this whole bullpen nonsense. And I know there's more playoff games that probably throws a wrench into it when you used to just have the pennant series and World Series. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it because now you have this other one, but it's almost the same amount of games. You're playing a best of 3, then a best of 5, and then a best of 7. It's not like they're throwing in a whole bunch of games. So, I kind of scratch my head over this whole. I was thinking about that yesterday. I thought about it. What was it last year when he kept throwing the bullpen games, and when the Diamondbacks were playing the Phillies and they were bullpen? I'm like, where are your starters? What happened to them?
Well, as I've been saying for 3 or 4 years, the bullpen is the most important part of the team.
Yeah.
Because nobody pitches a complete game anymore.
Well, it's not even that. I'm sitting here. Well, I know that's not going to happen. We've talked about it ad nauseum why that's not the way it is anymore. It's not because they're pussies. It's because things changed.
Well, they don't pitch. They throw.
Well, and it's not only that.
Throwing 98 to 100 right out the gate, and so they don't have anything left after the 6th inning.
But it's not only that. Because you can't take batters off. When Whitey Ford was pitching 3 days, he only had to pitch to the top 4 batters, and the other guys he could throw to contact. So they can get away with 110, 115 pitch games because they can throw to contact. You can't throw to contact anymore. You throw to contact, you're going to run out of baseballs because there are going to be so many of them hit over the fence. The game's changed. All 9 guys hit home runs.
Yeah, well, every major sport has changed.
Right.
The NBA is a 3-point shooting league now. They shoot the 3-pointers. In the National Football League, and even in college football, I got to bring this up. Field goal kicking is It used to be if a guy could kick a 40-yard field goal, he was kicking a deep field goal, a long field goal. Now, these guys can kick it 60 yards, and it's nothing.
Yeah, It's fast becoming
60
within
yards.
70 yards and the throw.
Oh yeah, the kid from Dallas will kick a 70-yarder this year, and I just brought that up because every sport has changed.
Right.
Players are bigger, stronger, faster.
Right.
They have better nutrition. They have better training. They have better medical teams. They have everything is better, so they're bigger, stronger, and faster. Looking at some of the high school football games in Virginia now, with some of these kids that are going to go off to college, and they're seniors in high school, and they're 6'5", 322 pounds. I mean, give me a break. I mean, I never saw anything like that. When I was in high school in the early 60s, our line weighed the same. Our offensive line weighed from tackle to tackle weighed the same as the University of South Carolina. And our guards in the center weighed 180 pounds. And the two tackles were 212 and 220. And that was the same weight as the South Carolina line. And but it was, they were big boys. 180 pounds was big. I weighed 165. I weigh what I weigh now.
Right.
But I mean, the people have gotten huge.
Well, knowing what we know so far in this playoffs, has your mind changed on?
Well, the Yankees have changed on the Yankees. It's going to be hard for them to win 3 in a row. It's just going to be hard. If the Phillies lose tonight, they're done. If the Phillies lose the second game and it's in Philadelphia, they're cooked. Because the Dodgers will win 1 in LA easily. So if the Phillies don't win tonight, they're in trouble. If they win tonight, I'm still thinking the Phillies have a real shot because Milwaukee's got some injuries now, and that's not good. They've got a few injuries now. The Cheerios, was outfielder, he got hurt the other night. He hurt his hamstring. So running a bunt out at first base. A bunt, by the way, a bunt. And he hurt his hamstring, so they've got a couple of pitching injuries. That might be why they're doing the bullpen game. So I think if the Phillies get by the Dodgers, of course, who's to say the Cubs won't beat Milwaukee?
Muttering, yeah, I hear you. Tigers, not. I mean, for a team that fell from grace, they're making a little bit of a statement in the playoffs, and good for them.
Playoffs are different than the regular season. That's the statement.
Yep. You just got. I've said it now for 2-3 years with this new playoff system. You got to just get in. You got to get in.
Your old man he's just an old coot who is very opinionated. I'm sitting there watching TV the other day, and the Tigers won that first game. Oh, the Tigers! Oh, they're in the driver's seat now because Skubal is pitching tomorrow. Because he's pitching tomorrow, so they're in the driver's seat. And I'm sitting there saying, Mo Ron. Is he going to pitch a complete game? No. He's coming out sooner or later. He might get to the 7th. Might. Probably not. 6th inning's probably it. You're going to have to bring your bullpen in, dude. You're going to have to bring your bullpen in.
And I mean, he's still got to play one more game after that. So it's like,
but to say that the Tigers were almost a lock because Skubal was pitching, and then Polanco hit 2 home runs off of him.
Oh, okay, that's just
But I mean, what I'm saying is to say that, and every time they say that about the starting pitchers, I'm going, but they don't finish the game. The bullpen comes in. Toronto was winning 13-2, and the Yankees scored 5 runs in the 7th inning, and the announcers were going, the biggest comeback in the history of the sport was 12 runs, and so it's, in 18-14 or something, and the Yankees have a shot. Of course, they didn't do anything in the last 2 innings, but the bullpen for Toronto came in and gave up 5 runs in 1 inning. So if you don't have a bullpen, you're done. Just having an ace coming in to pitch, sooner or later the bullpen's got to come in. But nobody's pitching a complete game. It ain't happening.
Yeah, well, that's why the Dodgers put two starters in the bullpen because they know that's in the middle innings they're going to bring those guys in to pitch more than an inning.
And then you got the Sasaki kid that they brought over from Japan. He's their closer now.
Right. So that's a little bit old school Braves there, where they moved Schmaltz out to be the closer that one year. Uh, so that's just teams are going to work it out. The good teams will figure it out. Get the talent, and then we'll figure it out after we have the talent. And the Dodgers, look, we saw it before. We talked about it before the season started about the Dodgers just adding pitching on top of pitching on top of pitching.
Well, see, from Muttering Jay, I rooted for the Tigers all year. That was my team. Remember at the beginning of the year when we had our surprise teams and everything, I picked them to win the Central. And then they collapsed at the end. But
I thought they were a year away, but yeah.
But they just, I hate to say it, but it's the old bugaboo of the Central Division of the American League. They do not hit. Not one team in that division hits. They just don't score a lot of runs. It might have to do with the ballpark. It might have to do with the weather. I don't know what it is, but Cleveland, Detroit, Minnesota, and Kansas City, they don't score a lot of runs. So it's just something that's unique to that division. And it's been like that for years. Because every time the Yankees got to playoffs, they had to play somebody from the Central Division. It was a cakewalk.
Right. And Minnesota's trying to build a team to beat the Yankees. It didn't work, and now they're rebuilding. So then the other teams now have gotten better. Cleveland has the formula to win or at least compete in that division. They have
Cleveland in the Central Division of the American League is the equivalent of Atlanta in the National League East in the 90s.
Right.
They're a fantastic regular season team. They win year after year after year in that division in the regular season. Came from 15 and a half games back to do it this year, to catch the Tigers and pass them. And then they lost to the Tigers in Cleveland, by the way.
Right.
In the playoff. So they do that every year. And like the Braves in the 90s, because I was a Braves fan back then because the farm team was in Richmond and I went to see them a lot. And I was a big Braves fan in the 90s. And every year they get to the playoffs of the World Series and lose, except 95. That was the only year they won the World Series. So, and Cleveland's a lot the same way. They get to the playoffs and lose.
Yeah.
Detroit's got a shot against Seattle because Seattle doesn't score either. They don't score a lot of runs.
Well, I just wanted to see where your thoughts were on that moving forward because
well, I still like Seattle. I still like Seattle to come out of the American League. I think they've got the better pitching, and I think they're going to come out of the. I think they're going to come out of the National League, and Alejandro Kirk. That's a clutch dude.
Well, this guy's a guy. He is a dude. What this guy catches he's kind of like he catches almost every game. He's built like a fire hydrant.
Yeah, if you painted him red and he stood on a street corner, you swear he's a fire hydrant.
And I mean, and he just rakes. He's probably one of the most underrated players in all of baseball.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And the other thing,
I'm not saying he's the all-star, but he's not talked nearly enough about, especially at the catcher position.
The only time Toronto has ever been really in the forefront of the sport was when they were in the World Series. They won back-to-back championships, and then everybody knew who they were. It's like the Oakland A's. Who are they? Well, in the '70s, you knew who they were. Well, they had Reggie Jackson. When they had Reggie Jackson, Gene Caston, and Catfish Hunter, yeah, you knew who they were in the '70s.
Well, you knew who they were in the late '80s as well. You had the Bash Brothers.
Well, there again, they got to the playoffs and lost it.
Dave Stewart and all those guys. Yeah. So, I mean, that was the great earthquake World Series.
Well, I'm still looking at Seattle to come out. I think Seattle's probably going to be the team to come out of the American League. I'm hoping Milwaukee comes out of the National League, but until the Phillies are knocked out, I'm still sticking with the Phillies.
Yeah.
Of course, now remember, I'm the same guy who picked the Baltimore Ravens to go to the Super Bowl. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep that in mind. As soon as I pick them, they put 29 guys on the injured list.
Right. Right.
I should
Well,
have
your
picked him.
team's still doing well. But anyway, we're going to end it with that this week. Appreciate you guys stopping by, hanging out with us a little bit. Go ahead, Dan.
Have you ever heard of the little chocolate drink called Yoo-Hoo?
Yeah.
It used to come in a little bottle, and it was a big thing when I was a kid in the 50s.
Uh-huh.
And Yogi Berra, from the early 50s to the early 60s, he worked for them and, doing commercials and stuff, ads on in papers and that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was at a Yoo-Hoo convention, and a lady at the convention asked him if Yoo-Hoo was hyphenated. And he said, "No, ma'am, it's not even carbonated."
Yeah, that sounds like it. So appreciate everybody stopping by. Please leave a like or let us know how your playoff thoughts are going. This has been a wild one. It's everything that's being cracked up to be. No two games.
Give your opinion on who you might think might manage some of these teams.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be a great one. But anyway, we'll see you next week probably. We'll probably do another live next Monday night again. So stop on by. Till next time, see ya.